Hey there, Rednecks, Preppies, Redneck Preppies. It's me, the Redneck Preppy. How you doing today? Great? Good. So if you've watched any videos on a number of subjects on this channel, it probably won't surprise you too much to find out I'm one of those guys who likes to be prepared. As I'm known for saying, my insurance has insurance. Now, I like driving off-road, and of course, things can break out there. And when that happens, you usually have a few options, which include spending the night out there with your vehicle or trying to fix it to get yourself out. The latter, of course, relies on having the right tools. That's why I always have a tool bag with some basic tools in it. Now, this isn't the first iteration of my vehicle tool bag. I used to carry one that was easily 2.5 times as long, twice as wide, and twice as tall as the one I'm carrying now. It seemed to have every tool in it known to mankind. It also weighed a ton, took up a lot of room in the back, and was probably overkill, especially given my skill set. So this year, my vehicle tool bag went on a bit of a diet, and now it's what you'll see here in front of you. Now, before we get into it, not all of the tools that I actually carry are in this bag. I've got some that serve a dual purpose. Pliers for cutting wires and various kinds of zip ties. I have a big rubber mallet in the same bag that I use to encourage my sway bar disconnects to, well, disconnect. So if you see something missing that you think should be there, it's probably somewhere else in the back of my Jeep. Now, some stuff I don't consider part of the tool bag that others would. The back of the Jeep, I carry an air compressor to air up tires. I have a battery booster, fuses, spare bulbs, fluids, a bunch of stuff that I've pretty much carried in the back of every single vehicle I've ever owned. Finally, this bag is geared to my skill set. For example, you won't find something like a 36mm socket in there to help me remove my Wrangler's axles in case they break, because I don't know how to remove an axle, and nor do I carry a spare axle to replace it with. I'm not a mechanic. This bag is largely for simple to intermediate repairs. With that out of the way, let's get into it. Okay, so here's the bag in question. As you can see, it's not terribly big, just over 2 hand widths wide. The one I used earlier, that I mentioned earlier in the video, literally would have engulfed this entire picture. So before, however, we get into the bag, some things that are too big to actually fit in the bag. Okay, these 2 items did not fit in the tool bag, at least in this current tool bag. In the old one they did. And one is, of course, a breaker bar, very useful for unstubborning bolts, nuts, sockets, whatever the hell it may be that just refuses to turn. Well, that will help you out. And above it, obviously, a torque wrench. Very useful for, at a minimum, retorquing your tires' lug nuts. A lot of people, they get, their tires rotated, or they have a brake job or whatever it may be, and the tires need to be retorqued after a certain number of kilometers. They got to schlep back all the way to the place that did the work. But if they owned one, they could just do it themselves. It's pretty darn simple. 2 very useful items to have in the back of your vehicle. Okay, next up, a selection of wrenches and pliers and the like. I'm always kind of amazed that people don't even have at least one wrench or a set of pliers in their vehicle. I don't know, maybe I'm overdoing it with all of these, but I've found that these have come in useful more than once in effecting some repairs while I was out and about. I also have a second pair of channel lock pliers, which are much bigger than those, and those are used for, along with the mallet that I mentioned earlier, encouraging my sway bar disconnects to actually come back onto the vehicle after I'm done off-roading. At any rate, a selection of wrenches and pliers, always a good idea to have. Gloves, work gloves. It doesn't take much to get really dirty while you're working on your vehicle, even if you're just doing minor stuff. So having some work gloves, not a horrible idea. In fact, I have way more gloves than this in the back of the vehicle. I have no idea how I managed to collect so many. But these are the ones which are actually in the tool bag. Having some insulated ones are good if you're having to do stuff in the winter. Ones with a grippy exterior, always useful as well. I believe these ones also have a grippy exterior, so make sure to have some gloves in your tool bag. Implements with which to screw. No, not that kind. Keep it clean. This is a family channel, all right? I've already had complaints. Basically, universal bit set for pretty much every kind of screw there is, along with its driver. I got some pry bars because sometimes things need to be tooled, and some general screwdrivers which are dedicated to the purpose. You don't need like a whole menagerie of screwdrivers and all that. A lot of people just go nuts and carry one of every size. I find that this bit set here is pretty good at covering all of the major sizes that I need, and these ones here will help out if those aren't up to the task. Particularly longer ones, because sometimes what you're trying to screw in isn't exactly within easy reach. So a couple of long ones ain't a bad idea as well. More wrenches. Yes, these are, of course, very useful as well to carry. I carry both metric, which is typically what Jeeps are built with, but I also carry imperial because a lot of aftermarket parts manufacturers, particularly those from the United States, insist on using imperial. So I've got a selection of both. This doesn't take up a lot of room, and boy, these are useful when you need them. And welcome to the adhesives section of my tool bag. We got some duct tape because, of course, duct tape fixes everything. Everyone knows this. Some JB Weld. Yes, I know JB Weld is kind of a punchline at this point in automotive mechanics circles, but if you have it and it's capable of fixing or at least temporarily repairing what it is that you need in order to get yourself out of a situation, it's better than nothing. Now, in my tool bag, which is not in it for some reason, I also usually now carry some goop, which is great for some temporary repairs. Maybe some tank which holds, I don't know, brake fluid or windshield washer or whatever, gets a hole in it. It can also fix it. So some goop is in here usually, but I don't have any here, of course. But you've got your duct tape and you got your JB Weld. At least have duct tape. Hose clamps. You know what? Occasionally you're out on the trail. Maybe you go over some kind of obstacle. It tears out some hose, your fuel line, whatever it may be. Hose clamp can actually be used to fix it, at least temporarily. This saved a friend of mine who was going over a beaver dam last year, and he tore out his fuel line, and thank God we had hose clamps. He was able to temporarily rig a repair and reattach it using one of these, and he was able to continue on not only to the midpoint of our trail, but all the way back home as well. So hose clamps, cheap. Get a variety of sizes for all of the hoses that you have on your vehicle, and it's better to have them than not have them. Sockets, both metric and imperial. As I stated in the wrench section, Jeeps are typically built using metric bolts and nuts and all that, but a lot of aftermarket manufacturers, again, those in the United States, use imperial sizes. So, of course, I am forced to carry both because one never knows. Now, I was going to have the bright idea once just to go through all of my sockets and only take the ones that I need, that I know that the Jeep has. That said, I don't think that's a good idea because you never know when you find that one freaking bolt which uses the size that you left at home. And yes, I have multiple 10 millimeter sockets because I know what happens to those things when you turn around. Sockets ain't no good if you got nothing to turn them with. So I've got two wrenches, one of them with a tilting head, which I particularly like. I've got this one here. This is for a specific reason. I think I have one socket which only came in 1/2 inch, so I just picked that one up for its sake, as well as extenders, because it's Murphy's Law. Whenever you got that one socket you got to turn, the bolt is just out of reach. So I have a bunch of sockets there. I've pretty much standardized all of my sockets and wrenches and that stuff on 1/2 inch. So it's very easy then. I just can grab one and I know that it's going to work for the socket that I'm using. So got to have these. Set of Allen keys. Metric, imperial. You never know we're going to need these, because there's always some part that uses a damned Allen key instead of a regular screw, nut, or bolt. I also have a set of TORX in this similar configuration. And the last thing in this particular tool bag, a tire pressure gauge. I have no idea why people don't have one with them. They have to go to a gas station or drive all the way home just to find out, you know, if their tire is really low. I got like a bunch of these all over the Jeep. In fact, I can't even sit down without one of them poking me in the rear somewhere. So, tire gauge, make sure to have one. So that's my Jeep's tool bag. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Leave a comment below and tell me. Am I missing something obvious? Leave a comment. Now, if you don't have a tool bag in your vehicle, hopefully this inspires you to put one together. Don't look at mine as gospel. Do your research and put one together that works for you. At any rate, I hope you found the video to be at least vaguely entertaining and somewhat informative. As always, I hope that you never need to actually use your vehicle's tool bag and that you yourself have a great day. Take care and bye-bye.